Welcome to a journey through the world's most bewildering mysteries, 10 unanswered questions that continue to defy explanation. From vanishings and cryptids to cosmic oddities and bizarre phenomena, these enigmas challenge everything we think we know. Stay with us. Some mysteries may never be meant to be solved. Number 1. Mary Celeste. A merchant brigantine was discovered drifting off course in 1872 with no one aboard, leaving the fate of its crew completely unexplained. In December 1872, the American merchant ship Mary Celeste was found adrift in the Atlantic Ocean near the Azores Islands. A passing vessel encountered the Mary Celeste and sent sailors aboard to investigate. They discovered the ship's cargo of 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol largely intact, and the vessel was in generally good condition. Personal belongings, navigational instruments, provisions and valuables were undisturbed. However, there were about 3.5 feet of water in the hold, and the ship's only lifeboat was missing. This combination of an abandoned ship in good order, with no crew on board, raised immediate questions. No obvious signs of violence or foul play were found. The decks and cabins appeared tidy, and there was no indication of a struggle or robbery. Investigators ruled out piracy as a likely explanation, since the cargo and crew's possessions were still aboard. Over the decades, many theories have been proposed to explain what happened. One idea is that leaking alcohol fumes in the hold created a dangerous pressure, which caused the crew to fear an explosion and abandon ship in the lifeboat. If so, a storm or accident at sea might have doomed those who escaped. Other ideas have included mutiny, though the orderly state of the ship makes this unlikely, or even a rare weather event. To this day, the fate of the Mary Celeste's 10 people remains unknown. No trace of the crew or their lifeboat was ever found, and the ship was eventually salvaged in port, with the insurers paying a reduced claim, suggesting suspicion about the incident. Historians and maritime experts continue to study the case, but without new evidence or survivors. The true story of that eerie winter voyage is still a mystery. The Mary Celeste case remains one of the most famous real-life unsolved maritime mysteries, capturing the imaginations of shipwreck enthusiasts and sleuths ever since. Number 2. Voynich Manuscript. A centuries-old illustrated manuscript, written in an unknown script, has defied all attempts to understand its meaning. The Voynich Manuscript is a mysterious book written in an unknown writing system, carbon-dated to the early 1400s. It contains hundreds of pages of text in an apparently unique cipher, accompanied by elaborate illustrations of unidentified plants, astronomical diagrams, and enigmatic figures. The origin and purpose of the manuscript are unknown. It was acquired by rare book dealer Wilfred Voynich in 1912, hence its name, and is now housed at Yale University's Beinecke Rare Book Library. Since its rediscovery, the Voynich Manuscript has attracted scholars and codebreakers who have been unable to decipher its contents. Cryptographers have analyzed the pattern of symbols, sometimes called Voyniches, but have found that it does not correspond to any known language. The text shows repeated patterns and internal consistency, suggesting it is not mere gibberish, yet no one has reliably translated it. During World War II, US and British code-breaking teams examined it, but obtained no breakthroughs. Recent efforts using computer algorithms and AI have revealed that the manuscript likely uses complex rules, but they still stop short of translating the text. Meanwhile, the strange botanical drawings do not match any real plants, and the astrological diagrams have unclear meanings. Because of this, researchers remain divided. Some theorize the Voynich Manuscript might encode a lost language or secret knowledge such as alchemy or astronomy, while others suggest it could even be an elaborate hoax. Without a Rosetta Stone or confirmed dictionary, the Voynich Manuscript remains unreadable and enigmatic. As a result, it is often called one of the world's great unsolved puzzles. Despite modern technology, the Voynich Manuscript continues to stump experts, an illustrated enigma that has retained all its mystery for over 6 centuries. Number 3. Bones of Peking Man. Fossil remains of an early human, discovered in 1920s China, were lost during World War II and have never been recovered. Peking Man refers to the fossilized skulls and bones of Homo erectus, found at Zhaokudian near Beijing in the 1920s. These fossils provided crucial evidence about early human ancestors. In 1941, as World War II engulfed Asia, the Chinese government arranged to ship the Peking Man fossils to the United States for safekeeping. However, the box containing the priceless bones disappeared in transit. The precise fate of the fossils is a mystery. Some believe the container may have been lost at sea or destroyed in a Japanese bombing raid, while others suspect it might have been hidden or stolen and never recovered. Archaeologists have continued to excavate at the Zhaokudin site for decades, uncovering stone tools and animal bones, but the original human fossils are still missing. Only plaster casts and descriptions survive to tell us what Peking Man looked like. The disappearance of these remains is a poignant archaeological mystery. Without the original specimens, scientists cannot perform modern tests like DNA analysis to learn more about this early human species. Many expeditions and investigations have tried to locate the lost box, but no confirmed trace of the fossils has been found. Thus, the disappearance of Peking Man's bones remains an unsolved chapter in the history of paleoanthropology, illustrating how crucial evidence can be lost in turbulent times. Number 4. Alexander the Great's tomb. Alexander the Great's burial place is unknown despite historical accounts that his body was interred in Alexandria, Egypt. Alexander the Great conquered an empire stretching from Greece through Egypt and into Asia before dying suddenly in 323 BC. Ancient historians record that his body was placed in a lavish tomb in the city of Alexandria, a new Greek capital on Egypt's Mediterranean coast. For centuries, Alexander's tomb was famous, with reports of emperors visiting it. However, over the ages, the tomb's location has been lost. Repeated earthquakes, floods, and later construction in Alexandria destroyed many ancient structures, and parts of the city are now submerged underwater. Archaeologists have searched many possible locations without success. Some researchers believe the tomb might lie beneath the modern city or even under the sea in the old royal quarter of Alexandria. However, no excavation has found conclusive evidence. An intact tomb with identification would likely be needed to be certain. The lack of definitive archaeological clues means that the fate of Alexander's remains is still unknown. Without an inscription or uniquely identifying artifact, any candidate tomb would remain suspect. The mystery of Alexander's final resting place continues to intrigue historians. After more than 2,300 years, we still do not know where the tomb of one of history's greatest rulers actually is. Number 5. Lost colony of Roanoke. A group of early English settlers vanished from Roanoke Island in the late 1500s, leaving behind only a cryptic carving and many questions. In July 1587, an English expedition established a colony of around 115 people on Roanoke Island in present-day North Carolina. The governor, John White, soon returned to England for supplies. Due to the war with Spain, he was unable to return for 3 years. When White finally sailed back in 1590, the colony was deserted. The fort and buildings had been taken apart. The only clue was the word Croatoan carved into a palisade post and crow on a tree. White had instructed that if the colony moved, they should carve a Maltese cross. None was found, suggesting the departure was not forced by violence. The meaning of the message remains a mystery. Some historians suggest the colonists may have relocated to nearby Hatteras Island, then called Croatoan Island, to live with local Native Americans. Others speculate they might have been killed by hostile tribes or succumbed to disease or starvation. Archaeological searches in North Carolina have turned up a few 16th-century European artifacts on nearby islands, but nothing definitively linked to the lost colony. Because no bodies or definitive settlement was found, the ultimate fate of the Roanoke colonists remains unsolved. The disappearance has inspired countless theories and fictional accounts, but after more than 400 years, what became of those early settlers is still one of America's oldest unsolved mysteries. Number 6. Disappearance of Amelia Earhart. A pioneering aviator disappeared without a trace in 1937 during her attempt to circumnavigate the globe. Amelia Earhart was an American pilot who sought to be the first woman to fly around the world. In July 1937, she and her navigator Fred Noonan took off from Lae, New Guinea, bound for tiny Howland Island in the Pacific. As they approached, Earhart's radio transmissions indicated low fuel and difficulty finding the island. On July 2, 1937, Earhart reported a final garbled message, and then the plane vanished. An extensive search by US and international forces found no trace of Earhart, Noonan, or the Lockheed Electra. The most widely accepted theory is that Earhart's plane ran out of fuel and crashed into the ocean. Despite some debris washing ashore in the Western Pacific later, no confirmed wreckage of the Electra has ever been identified. Other theories have circulated, including that Earhart may have made an emergency landing on a remote island, such as Gardner Island, now Nicomaroro, and perished as a castaway. Conspiracy theories even speculated she was captured or faked her death, but there is no strong evidence for these ideas. Today, the disappearance of Amelia Earhart remains one of aviation's greatest unsolved mysteries. Advances in search technology have allowed new expeditions to scour reefs and deep ocean floor, but the final outcome remains unknown. Without definitive wreckage or radio logs clarifying the last moments, Earhart's fate still captivates people worldwide. The case underscores the peril of early long-distance flight and the enduring fascination with one of history's boldest explorers. Number 7. D.B. Cooper, hijacking a man calling himself Dan Cooper. Hijacked a U.S. passenger plane in 1971, extorted $200,000, then parachuted into the night and vanished. On November 24, 1971, a man using the alias Dan Cooper boarded Northwest Orient Flight 305, a Boeing 727 from Portland to Seattle. Shortly after takeoff, he handed a note to a flight attendant claiming he had a bomb and demanding $200,000 in cash and several parachutes. The airline and FBI complied, and after landing in Seattle to collect the money, the plane took off again. Somewhere over Washington state, Cooper lowered the rear staircase and jumped out of the plane into a stormy night with the ransom. Despite a massive manhunt and FBI investigation, Cooper's identity and fate remain unknown. In 1980, a boy found some of the ransom bills buried along the Columbia River, suggesting Cooper died in the jump. The FBI considered many suspects over the years, but never confirmed who he was or if he survived. The case became legendary as D.B. Cooper due to a media typo and is often cited as the only unsolved skyjacking in U.S. history. The mystery of D.B. Cooper endures because it has no confirmed ending. All that is certain is the hijacker's calm execution of the plan and his disappearance with almost no clue left behind. The FBI officially closed the case in 2016, leaving Cooper's story a matter of speculation and intrigue. The daring 1971 skyjacking and its unsolved conclusion continue to fascinate true crime fans and amateur sleuths alike. Number 8. Disappearance of Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 in 2014. A modern passenger jet vanished from radar during a routine flight, and its disappearance remains unexplained. Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 left Kuala Lumpur on March 8, 2014, heading for Beijing with 239 people on board. Less than an hour after takeoff, the plane's transponder was turned off, and it veered far off course over the South China Sea. Later, satellite tracking suggested the aircraft continued flying for several hours toward the southern Indian Ocean. By the next day, it is believed to have run out of fuel and crashed into the ocean. However, despite a multinational search covering thousands of square miles of ocean floor, the main wreckage was never found. Over the years, some debris confirmed to be from MH370 has washed up on shores of the western Indian Ocean, proving the plane did crash. But the key question, why the plane went off course and what exactly happened on board, remains unanswered. Investigators have proposed theories ranging from mechanical failure to deliberate actions, but without the flight data recorder or cockpit voice recorder, none can be proven. The official search was suspended, and a private expedition later ended without success. The disappearance of MH370 is particularly haunting because it occurred in the era of global tracking and communication. It showed that even with satellites and modern monitoring, an airliner can still vanish. The mystery has had a profound impact on aviation safety and conspiracy theories alike. Until new evidence is discovered, Flight MH370's final flight remains one of the greatest mysteries in modern aviation history. Number 9. Disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa. Teamsters leader Jimmy Hoffa vanished in 1975 from a Detroit area restaurant and has never been found. Jimmy Hoffa was a powerful American labor union leader, president of the Teamsters, with rumored ties to organized crime. On July 30, 1975, Hoffa arrived at the Mochu's Red Fox restaurant in Bloomfield Township, Michigan, to meet two underworld-associated Teamster figures. He left that evening and was never seen or heard from again. Despite immediate FBI investigation and searches, Hoffa's body was never recovered. Many people assumed he was murdered on mob orders, but without evidence, no suspects were ever convicted. For decades, the disappearance of Hoffa has spawned rumors and theories. Some said he was shot and buried in a landfill near Detroit, or buried under New York's Giants Stadium, now MetLife Stadium, or even incinerated. Every few years, new tips about where Hoffa's remains might lie are investigated, but none have panned out. Hoffa was declared legally dead in 1982, but no confirmed death site or cause has ever been established. The mystery of Jimmy Hoffa's fate endures as an iconic unsolved case. It highlights an era of mob influence in America and the limits of law enforcement at the time. Even with modern forensic advances, no physical evidence has resolved the case. After nearly half a century, the question "what happened to Jimmy Hoffa" remains unanswered, making his disappearance one of the most famous cold cases in US history. Number 10. Jack the Ripper. A series of grisly murders of women in London in 1888 was never solved, with the killer known only by a chilling nickname. Between August and November 1888, 5 women, all of whom were prostitutes, were murdered in London's East End, specifically the Whitechapel district. The murders involved violent slashing and mutilation, suggesting a single, calculating killer. The unknown murderer became dubbed Jack the Ripper after a taunting letter, now believed to be a hoax, was sent to the press. The police investigated dozens of suspects and even inspected letters supposedly from the killer, but they never identified who he was. No physical evidence can conclusively tie any suspect to the crimes. At the time, forensic science was primitive. The police had no fingerprints or DNA. The case has spawned countless theories, attributing the murders to everyone from a local butcher to a member of the royal family, but no theory has been proven. The Whitechapel murders stopped as suddenly as they began, leaving no trail. More than a century later, Jack the Ripper remains a legendary, unsolved criminal case. He is often considered the prototype of the modern serial killer in popular culture. The lack of a definitive resolution continues to fascinate writers, historians, and crime enthusiasts. Without new evidence, the true identity and motive of Jack the Ripper will likely remain one of London's and, indeed, the world's most famous mysteries. The world is full of mysteries that challenge our understanding and defy easy explanation. From vanished ships and missing persons, to unexplained cosmic signals and ancient enigmas, the cases above illustrate how many mysteries still puzzle historians, scientists, and amateur sleuths alike. Each unsolved mystery is a reminder of how little we sometimes know and how much there is left to discover. If you enjoyed learning about these mysteries, please like this video, share it with friends, and let us know in the comments which case you found most intriguing. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most fascinating unsolved mysteries.